Hello, what a day, what a surprise from Sony. Well, we knew about it. It's about the new Sony firmware update for the A7S III and the A1 and other few cameras that I do not own. I think this is due also thanks to some of the YouTubers and other creators who made an alarm. You know, they make a point over the social media saying that those cameras that are top of the line, especially A1, did not get any updates in the recent past, significant updates, apart from something like Cineton colors. That was somewhere probably in 2022. Apart from that, even if they share the same internals and the same sensor power like Sony FX3 and FX6, they were lacking behind. So finally Sony came up with this new firmware, and let's dissect it a little bit. Let's see what's happening. Now, before going into details, you have to understand how to update it. In the past, the firmware update would have been a software, something like a BAT file that you would have copied on the root of your SD card. Now, these days it's a little bit different. It's basically an executable file if you are on, for example, if you're working with Windows, and I like how the autofocus tracks me. And what happens is this file basically it's a software that you're going to install it in your computer and you run it from there. After that, you connect the camera to your USB-C cable and you follow the instructions. Your battery should be at least 50% because you won't be able to power your camera with a different power source because the USB-C port is already occupied by the cable that is connected to your computer. And after that, it takes you maybe roughly 3 or 4 auditions of Smashing Pumpkins' Everlasting Gaze and you're there. Now what happens is you need to be at version 2.15. Now I was on version 2.10 and I had to install 2 firmware updates in order to get basically the trio version. It's the same thing, you just have to repeat the process. It's very easy, and I would say the process is absolutely seamless. Anyway, after you have updated your camera, now we go and dissect each of the most important points of this firmware update. One of them is the fact that now Sony A7S III is also supported by the Creator App software. This software allows you to remotely control your camera and allows you to change settings like aperture, shutter speed, ISO, picture profiles, whatever you have in mind, through the interface of your mobile phone. Also, you can get a feed of what camera sees on your mobile phone screen. Now, me as a small YouTuber, I don't really see the benefit of that. The only thing that comes across my mind is if I'm using bulb mode when I'm taking photos, long exposures, like you have noticed on this channel. So instead of using a remote control, which is 12 euros, probably you need a smartphone that costs 1000 plus to install this app for free, so enable to control your camera. No, I don't think I want to do this. I don't think I will ever do this. I'm very happy with my remote control because it doesn't require batteries. It always sits in my bag, while my phone, I'm using it for something else and I'm already controlling the drone with it. Now I have to control this camera and it is too much. But this is not all. No, Creator Apps also offers you some sort of a cloud storage. I think you have 5 gigs for free. Then there is something like 250 for a certain price, or an offer if you are a Sony shooter, and then you pay more and you get more cloud usage. If you're into that, go ahead and use it. I don't really find the usefulness of that, apart from, record your things with your phone, but other than that, I don't think I'll be using it. Another thing that I noticed is the moment you finish with the firmware installation and the camera reboots for the last time, all your preferences and custom modes and everything is erased. okay, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe you want, a fresh start, or you can want to customize them different. And if you knew how to do it before, it will be essentially the same process. But what I have noticed is the interface now looks completely different. And it's similar to what I have in the FX30 and some other people have in the FX3. So it's the new menu, and this is welcome. Also, Sony A7S III has a touchscreen, so you can simply control the ISO, white balance, shutter speed and aperture by touching the screen, and this is how you can easily change those settings. Now, a lot of people are appreciating, for example, the form factor of camcorders, which have dedicated buttons for all the main functions. Like I don't know why would you want to change your aperture through touchscreen rather than turn a dial, or some of the Sony lenses and other lenses, they have a real aperture ring, and why wouldn't you use that? And you prefer a touchscreen? The same technology we found this today in the cars, and I kind of find it annoying. Like I much prefer to have dials rather than touch function screen. But on the other hand, is there. So if you're interested into that, that's an option. Next stop is called breathing compensation, and this is something that I had enjoyed before with my Sony FX30. It is a shame that after only 4 or 5 years this technology comes to Sony A7S III as well, but it's a welcome start. Now, you have to read between the lines, and unfortunately there's nothing written between the lines, but whatever, you have to read the small prints, and not all the lenses are supported with Sony A7S III. Like for example, I own a 70-200 f4, I own a 55mm f1.8 size, which is an absolute amazing lens. I also have the 90mm macro. Well, none of those 3 lenses that are made by Sony supports focus breathing or breathing compensation, whatever it's called. And for me, this is useless. Now, obviously, Tamron and Sigma won't be supported. That would be nice. At least, it would be nice at least to input some parameters and then the camera will do the rest. No, this is not going to happen. Only some G Master lenses are on it. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying the reality that for me, this breathing compensation stuff is completely useless, and I have absolutely zero intention to purchase lenses just to benefit from that. Now, you can also adapt cinema lenses to Sony A7S III, and I think a lot of people will do this if you want to use this camera in cinema production. But obviously those lenses are manual focus lenses, so breathing compensation won't work, but their image quality and opticals are way better, so remains a good investment anyway. Now, the star of the show, it's probably the 4K DCI, and the DCI that will allow you to shoot in 24p or 25p. What happens is this resolution is slightly longer than 4K, which is actually the true 4K. This is actually the true 4K. What we had before, it's Ultra HD, so this is like 4096 by 2180 or whatever, so it's a little bit longer, so it will allow you to move the image sideways if you want to compose the image different in post, and potentially because the resolution is bigger you may get a little bit of extra sharpness. Again, being 24p, it's nice because now you can shoot in truly 1/48 of a second, but if you're here in Europe like me, the image will flicker, especially in artificial light, so you still have to remain with 1/50 of a second. 24p, again, if you have various cameras like I do and drones, they don't shoot real 24, they shoot 23.9, so you may have problems with the sound, or something weird will happen when you edit things because you'll be using different frame rates. So again, it is nice to have, especially if you are doing cinema, but for YouTube I don't find this that usefulness, and I'm not going to use it. I'm using it for today's video just because it's a novelty, but I don't see myself using it that frequently in the future. Yeah, we move on. Another update is regarding the timecode, but you have to remember that the timecode basically, in order to sync multiple cameras with timecode, you need to buy a certain piece of hardware from Tentacles or whatever other brand, which costs you real money before you can actually take advantage of that to synchronize sound with video in post-production. I have absolutely no intention doing that, though my vlogs are usually made with multicam sequences, but clapping your hands probably is enough, and for me, I have no problem syncing the sound. So again, it's a hard pass for me. Happy that exists, useless for me. Another thing that happens with this new firmware is an improvement to wireless security protocol. If you're afraid that your camera can be hacked through wireless or if you are browsing internet with your camera, probably that will help you. For me, it's like, what is this? Like, why do I even care? I always keep my camera in airplane mode. So it exists, it's there, is a better firmware. I don't use it. And the last thing that is noticeable in this firmware update is a custom grid that apparently you have to pay. Like, I really don't know why would you do this, to pay for grids. I mean, this is another level of business. Again, if you are working in cinema or television, probably your director needs a feed as well from your camera, like they want to see what you're filming. And because this camera does not have an HDI output, you probably need something at least like an Atomos Ninja with the HDI input. So then that recorder or film monitor will come with its own grid. So I don't know why would you want to do this on this small LCD screen, but if you're interested, you can probably pay. I didn't research much about it. I don't know what kind of grids are those that are costs, but what I noticed is maybe I don't remember correctly, but when I'm enabling the grid, the rule of thirds grid that is almost found in every camera, these grids are so white and so vivid, like in your face, that it's almost annoying. Like, I don't know, I hope that those grids, they should have been more dimmed out like they are today. It's like somebody scratched my screen. I don't really like the way they look. I might disable it altogether, I don't know. Maybe it was there before, but I don't remember this being in my Sony FX30. They are not that prominent. Anyway, grids, you need them, but not as a paid update in my opinion. Last thing that I want to mention is my wish list for further improvements and firmware updates in the Sony A7S III. Like, for example, why we cannot record H.265 in 25p or in 30p. This will be a major thing. Now, they said it's a hardware limitation, and I don't know. I don't understand this. Like, I don't know what can be limited. Like, we have 4K DCI, and this codec cannot be implemented at 25p or 30p. Maybe, you know, things are more complex than it appears. It's very strange, but really, if you can take everything back, but give me H.265 25 and 30p, and I will be much better than breathing compensation for lenses that I do not own or 4K DCI that I never use. Anyway, another thing that I found useful in the FX30, we have something called the focus map, and this is a very nice way to manually focus. You have a vivid colorful map that will show you what is in focus and what is in front, out of focus, and behind out of focus of your subject. It's a very nice focusing map. It takes a little bit a while to customize with it, but once you understand how it works, you can never go back to focus picking, which is disastrous. And the last thing that I wish for Sony A7S III is a LUT. Man, come on, man, give us LUT implementation. I mean, you know, okay, Cine EI, maybe you want to keep it for FX3 and other cinema lenses, whatever. I don't know. I wish I have Cine EI in this camera. Obviously, that will be actually fantastic. Actually, if you give me Cine EI, okay, you can take back the H.265, but at least you know, LUTs will be fine, because you can go on a website called LUT Calc and you can make your own false color map. I don't think we're ever going to get waveforms. They will be too small for this LCD screen, but at least, you know, with LUTs we can create our own false color map, so we can appreciate the exposure better in this manner. But we don't have LUTs. So anyway, that is what it is. Those are the news. Breathing conversation, 4K DCI 20p, blah blah blah, wireless protocol. See you next time. Thank you.